Okay. Nicholas?
Blue flag.
No. Micah?
The Ontario.
Well, Ontario is the territory that it's from, but what's the name of the flower?
The white.
Right. White trillium. Because remember we talked about tri means three, and that flower has three petals. So underneath the flower, you're going to write white trillium, and underneath of that, you're going to write Ontario. Okay, so this is row 1. That first flower is a white trillium. And you would find that in Ontario. Is that right? Ontario? Yes. Okay. Now, if we have time later, it'd be great to go back and color these. Although white trillium, you don't really need to color that much because it's white. Okay, what about that next flower to the right of the white trillium? Jacob?
Purple violet.
No, it's similar, but it's a little bit different. What's that?
Mayflower?
The Mayflower, yes. So do you think the Mayflower ship was named after the Mayflower, or was the Mayflower flower named after the ship?
I think the Mayflower wasn't named after the
Where's the
flower.
Mayflower?
Yeah, where's the...
I don't think it was named after anything.
Alright, so the Mayflower is from what territory?
It's the white flower on
Nova
right
Scotia.
of page 12.
Look on page 12 and 13. The Mayflower is...
It's on page 12.
It's page 12.
activity book.
On the bottom right.
We're on page 5.
I mean, on the flower.
We're going right in order. Look, row 1.
Wait, what?
Right, we're going right across. So this is the white trillium, this is the Mayflower. Okay, where's your
What?
where's your book?
Maybe it fell out of my folder.
Yeah, look for your
So I know I received that.
tell you what, why don't you go ahead and turn that in as it is. Okay. So, and then that last flower is what? I remember somebody said, can you drink out of it? Logan?
That was me.
Pitcher plant?
Yes. Pitcher plant.
That's the pitcher plant? Oh, yeah, that's the...
And you can find that in Newfoundland or Labrador.
Wait, is that in the second row or the first row?
This is all, I'm setting the board up just like your paper. So we're doing row 1. So this is the first flower, the second flower, the third flower. Labrador. I just don't have the pictures on the board.
Yep.
Find it?
Yeah.
Good.
Doesn't it say Understanding God's World Activity Book?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. All right, row 2, we've got, what's that first flower on that, on the second row? Autumn?
Western red lily?
Yes. And where would you find that? You know how to say that territory? Saskatchewan. So Saskatchewan. Luna, where's your, did I never give you one? Okay, so what should you have done? You raise your hand and say, "Smile, I got one." Okay.
I know what the next one is.
Okay, and then the next, what about the next flower? What is that called? This is kind of a funny name. Nicholas?
Lady slipper.
The lady's slipper. So it kind of almost reminds you of a slipper that a lady would wear. Kind of. Lady's slipper. And that is Prince Edward Island. How many of you have ever heard of Anne of Green Gables? That took place on Prince Edward Island.
That's a long one.
Mhm. You know what? I think for the last flowers, let's just go ahead and write the name of the flower and not where you can find it. Although it's good to know, but I don't think we need to know that for anything. So who can tell me what the name of the next flower would be? Lucy? Fireweed. Yes.
That's a hard.
Okay, so it's named, do you see why it's named that? Because it's one of the first flowers to grow in an area which has been burned over by a forest fire. So once there's a fire, it burns everything, and then one of the first flowers that is able to grow
Where they thought it was a weed.
is that fireweed.
Did they think it was a weed?
I don't know.
What happens if you touch it?
I don't know. Nothing. It's a flower. Okay, and then row 3, what's that first flower called? What do you think that would be called? Logan?
The wild rose.
Yes. That's my niece's middle name, Rose. Chloe Rose. She was born on Valentine's Day. Okay, what about next to the wild rose? What flower is that? This is one of the ones that first comes up. Sometimes it even grows up through the snow. It's one of the earliest flowers in spring. And a lot of times you can see it blooming through the snow.
I think I've seen one of those.
It's a prairie crocus, right? And then this next one is one that I have made jelly out of.
Oh. Actually,
I only made it once.
purple violet.
Oh, purple violet, yes. I thought you said something else. I thought you said Pocahontas. Purple violet. Okay, now row 4. These are good to know because when you see them out rowing out in the field, you'll be able to identify them. I actually took a class in college where we identified flowers. It's called Nature Lore. Yeah, it was fun. All right, what's the first flower in row 4? Mackenzie? Mountain Avens, right. And then next to the Mountain Avens is a what?
Blue flag.
Blue flag iris. So irises can actually come in all kinds of colors. I've seen them in purple, pink, yellow, white, burgundy. I mean, pretty much any color. But this one just happens to be called a blue flag.
Oh.
And then the next one after that would be a what? This next one actually grows on a tree. Mason.
Flower and dogwood.
Yes. And then the next one almost looks like a vine. It's kind of like a vine. It says that in Arctic or alpine regions, this flower forms a cushion over rocky areas soon after the snow melts. So what is that called?
Saxifrage?
Yes.
Saxifrage.
I'm not sure exactly how to say it.
We're finished.
All right.
Can we draw another flower?
Well, not today. We will later, because I do want you to, later we will learn the parts of the flower, definitely.
I mean, there's a big face at the bottom.
There is, but let's go ahead and close our activity book, put that away. And then we're going to be starting a new chapter in our science book. And I wore my shirt just for today. For our special insects. So my shirt has all kinds of insects on it. I wore it just for Insects Day.
Whoa.
So we're going to turn in our science book to page 15.
Aha.
Okay, I didn't say put your science book away. I just said put your activity book. Science book. Oh, you don't have it. Okay, so insects are miniature marvels of creation. So follow along as I read about these creepy but interesting creation. Okay? So Psalm 104:24 says, O Lord, how manifold are thy works. In wisdom thou hast made them all. So the first chapter is 10 million designs. As you walk across a field, through the woods, or even in your own backyard, you you are surrounded by thousands of tiny creatures. Insects crawl through the grass and soil, dart about among the trees and flowers, and even find their way into your home and also into my desk. I have some ants in my desk. Some are so small that you can barely see them. Some buzz or hum, while others make no sound. You admire beautiful insects such as the butterfly and shy away from ugly ones like the silverfish or the roach. Beautiful or ugly, they are all creations of God, designed to do special tasks in His world. About half of the animals in the world are insects. Wow, did you know that? So do you think insects traveled on the ark?
Yeah.
Yeah, they must have, or else they wouldn't be
Or
here.
they could have flew.
No, I think they were on the ark. Scientists have identified 800,000 different kinds of insects, but they think there are many others that have not been found yet. Every year, from 7,000 to 10,000 new kinds of insects are discovered and named. Wow. So you think, oh, we've seen it all. But that's not true. They are still discovering more and more. You might be one of the ones that discovers something new.
Like the megalodon.
This leads entomologists, which are scientists who study insects and similar creatures, to think that there may be more than 10 million kinds of insects, each with its own unique features and purposes. Can you think of 10 million different designs for insects? No way. I can barely think of 10. But God did. He thought of 10 million. What makes it even more wonderful is that each difference in design is for a special purpose. So let's talk about the special characteristics of insects. For an animal to be classified as an insect, it must have 3 special characteristics. Number 1, an outside skeleton, which is also called an exoskeleton. So our skeleton's inside. And you have mammals, reptiles, amphibians, fish, and birds. They all have an inside skeleton. But an insect, okay, where is my little shell? Somewhere I have a shell of a bug.
A cicada?
Yeah, the cicada, the cicada shell that we've been collecting? It has this, I could easily crush this, okay? That's because on the outside is his skeleton. That hard casing is his skeleton. And so
his skin is
he's got nothing to hold him up except for the outside of him, okay? So that's characteristic number 1. Let's keep reading, okay? 3 body parts. And I ordered new science charts, and they're not in yet. Oh, I was hoping they'd be in. So kind of like we have a head, a middle area of our body, and then our legs. Okay, that doesn't mean we're insects, but similar insects. All right, real quickly. What?
What practice about this one?
Well, it doesn't start at 2:15. Let's just wait. Okay, let me read for a second here. And then the third thing is 6 jointed legs. So it has 6 legs that are jointed. So we have 2 jointed legs. Well, they have 6 jointed legs. Most insects also have several other common characteristics, such as antennae, compound eyes, and wings. So we're going to talk about each of those things. An exoskeleton. You may remember that there are 2 main groups of animals. You have, say them with me, vertebrates and invertebrates. Vertebrates are animals with backbones, such as dogs, birds, fish, frogs, and lizards. Vertebrates have skeletons of bone inside their bodies to support them. Turn the page. Worms, spiders, jellyfish, starfish, and many other creatures are what? Invertebrates, or animals without backbones. Insects are invertebrates. So it's you would kind of think it's the opposite. Like an invertebrate, you would think it has a backbone in their body, but it's the opposite. An invertebrate has its backbone on the outside of its body. So kind of think backwards then. Insects belong to a group of invertebrates that have a skeleton, not an internal skeleton like vertebrates, but have an external skeleton. This hard coat of armor that protects the tiny body parts of insects is called an exoskeleton. So that's what I just showed you. An insect's exoskeleton is lighter and stronger than bone. Wow. As you grow, your bones grow, but an insect's exoskeleton cannot grow with the insect. When the insect outgrows its exoskeleton, it grows a new exoskeleton under the old one and then crawls out of the old skeleton. And you can even see on the back of this cicada, there's like a slit on top. And that slit is where it came out, and then it grew another exoskeleton so that it could grow bigger. This process is called molting. Say that. Molting. It's not melting, it's molting.
I'm melting.
Beetles, grasshoppers, and true bugs that have thick, tough exoskeletons. But bees, flies, and butterflies have thinner, softer exoskeletons. So let's briefly talk about the three body parts. Okay, all insects have three body parts: a head, a thorax, this would be like their thorax, and then their abdomen. The head contains the insect's brain, antennae, and eyes and mouth parts. The two antennae are the insect's feelers. So it's almost like these are their hands sticking up out of their heads. So imagine if you were an insect, you would have your arms up like this. And they touch everything. That's what an insect does. That's why he just is always going like this. He's feeling where he's going. The thorax is the middle body part where the wings and legs are attached. And then the abdomen, the last body part, contains the insect's heart and stomach. So you would think here is our heart and stomach. But a insect has their heart and stomach near the back of their body, near the end. Okay? Can you identify the body parts of this housefly? On some insects, it is not easy to see where the thorax ends and the abdomen begins. You would have to look inside the insect to tell. The bodies of insects vary to a wondrous degree. Look at the insects on page 17. Some, like the walking stick, are long and narrow. Others, like the ladybug, are wide and thick. Some are soft, like the body of the gnat, while others are hard, like that of the grasshopper. The females of some, like the cricket, have a long, narrow, egg-laying part called the ovipositor. Okay, Jacob, I know. I need to get done this, and then I'll take you, okay? This is more important at the moment. Okay, so let's just give me a minute. The ovipositor is not as noticeable on others. Some, such as honeybees, hornets, and yellow jackets, have stingers for protection. Insects' bodies vary in size from the 1/100th of an inch fairy fly. Oh my, that's very tiny. Take an inch and divide it into 100 pieces, and that's all the bigger a fairy fly is. To the 4-inch long Goliath beetle. So 4 inches would maybe be about that long. No wonder it's called a Goliath beetle,
It's Goliath.
which is one of the largest insects. All right, real quickly, let's read about breathing tubes. Insects do not have lungs as people do. Instead, God has designed them with breathing tubes which carry air containing oxygen to their body tissues. The air enters the tubes through tiny holes called spiracles that are found along the side of the body. Find the spiracles on the grasshopper. So, on the grasshopper,
On his abdomen.
He has.
on the abdomen, let's see. Okay, so he's got tiny holes along him. I actually am having a hard time seeing that one. I think when we get our charts, it'll be easier to see. Okay, so those are what the tiny holes are be. All right, we are going to stop there, even though I wanted to get further. Do more tomorrow. Okay, so I need everyone to make sure you have your spelling book, to write your spelling list. Take home poems, so you can take home your